Welcome back to another episode of oMZ Under the Hammer. I'm at the property in Orpington which I purchased at auction. Behind me you'll see the kitchen is complete. I'm going to be doing a full tour of this property which I'll be posting a new video next week so you can see the finished project. But today's video is going to be about due diligence on auctions and legal packs. So I'm going to invite you on into the kitchen. Let's make a cup of tea. Love a Fox's chunky cookie. So let's discuss due diligence with auction legal packs. So if you're considering purchasing a property at auction, you'll have heard of the term legal pack mentioned or seen perhaps online if you're looking at auction websites. Legal packs, they do seem quite confusing. However, they contain a lot of legal jargon, and it's helpful to know that they include the points that you should be checking if you want to buy a property. The legal pack is provided by the seller of the property, and it contains all legal information that you'd normally receive if you were dealing directly with an estate agent. The information will include searches, office copies, special conditions, and any other legal requirements for that property. You may have looked through it and actually think, looking at the legal pack, that all of the documentation is fine, but you also need to think about what documentation is missing from the legal pack. So quite often I will be looking at a property and I download the legal pack and I notice that there are documents missing, for example local authority searches, and that can affect the ability to obtain finance on the property if the relevant documentation is not present. So I would say a good place to start is the special conditions, which determines it will determine what the terms of sale are. And the special conditions are specific to particular properties, and they will also reference the auction's general conditions as well. So for example, the seller may try to make the new buyer liable for any arrears that the property has, whether that be service charge or any other arrears. They may also include special conditions that you can't argue against any of these concerns once the hammer has fallen. So once the hammer falls at auction, you are exchanging contracts and you're legally bound to that property at that moment in time. So it's extremely essential that you've done all of your due diligence first, and you've scrutinised the details of the legal pack. Right, so I just wanted to give you a quick demo of how to get into a legal pack. Now, every auction site is different. I've just gone on to Savills, which was one of the biggest auctioneers in London. You go onto their website, which is auctions.savills.co.uk, and normally they have the next up and coming auction here. If you just click preview the auction, that will open the properties that are being listed. At the moment, the only property available at Savills is this one here, Howsham Grange, guide price 975,000 plus. Oh look, that's lovely, isn't it? And if you want to download the legal pack, you simply just click this button here, download legal documents, and that will take you to your login. Once you log in there, you're then able to download all of the legal paperwork. So let's give that a go. So we can see here you've got various documents, electrical installation certificates, domestic certificates, environmental search, indemnity insurances. It looks like there's a lot of legal documents, planning documents, the title, transfer deeds, a water search. So really, really good. Straight away looking at that, we can see this property's got a load of stuff. And then what you can do is get your solicitor to look at it, because it's all good you looking at it, but if you don't know what you're looking for, then really you want a solicitor to go through that in detail. What else should you look for in a legal pack? Well, the seller quite often will try to pass auction fees onto the buyer, or they may ask you to pay for their searches, and they do try to put that in quite small print within the special conditions, normally right at the bottom. So I would check that. And so that you know what fees you are going to pay on top of the purchase price. You're also going to find that the completion dates will vary from one seller to another. So some sellers will want 28 days for completion, also known as 20 working days. Then you'll find others that may narrow that down quite heavily to just 5 working days to complete, which can cause implications on the speed of which you may need to arrange finance. Typically, the auctions that had just been over the last couple of months around the Christmas period had extended completion dates of 6 weeks, so that gave buyers a little bit more time, which was nice. I think the next thing really is to make sure the landlord's consent when purchasing a property that's tenanted is also a vital factor to look at. So if you've got a property that has tenants in there, read the special conditions, really important as to the type of tenancy that they're on. Okay, so as well as special conditions, you should be checking that the seller actually owns the property. So we get a lot of properties sold at auction which are done via a sub-sale or a back-to-back sale. These cause a nightmare to try and finance because effectively someone has purchased the property, exchanged contracts with a delayed completion, and they've put that property into auction to sell in that interim period. So although they have interim possession of the property, they haven't completed, which means it's difficult to obtain finance. And I would say the due diligence is your responsibility. That's key. A lot of people buying at auction may expect that the auctioneer will have done some due diligence, and perhaps they've done a very small element, but the responsibility is on you, and don't expect auctioneers to check legal packs for you because it's not going to happen. And if we differentiate between freehold and leasehold properties at auction, the land registry titles for freehold properties tend to be quite clean. You don't normally have to look for much, although I'm not saying don't check them. Absolutely, you should check them. But one thing that I will advise is to just check the freehold title. Make sure it's true title, that the owner, it's true title on paper and the owner, rather than merging that and perhaps having possessionary title, and look out for things like squatters' rights as well, really important. But be a bit more careful, I suppose, with leasehold properties. I've had some experience with issues with leasehold titles, and I would check the leases long enough, make sure that it's adequate for your mortgage lending, as some mortgage providers will want a minimum lease term. And you should also be checking for things like arrears, if there are any major works planned to the building which the leasehold property is within, and so that you are aware of the costs that are going to be involved subsequently further down the line, or once you've completed on the transaction. Sometimes you find that there's arrears within the service charge for a number of years, and that's being passed on to you, and it's within the contract, and if you don't read it properly, you're going to be swallowing that bill. So this is a brief video on legal packs, due diligence. I believe that it's one of the most important things that you need to be doing when purchasing a property, is checking the legal pack thoroughly. And I wouldn't just say read that just yourself. I would actually instruct a solicitor or a conveyancer to do it for you as well. And you'll find the solicitor will do it normally quickly, and they'll come back to you with a report based on their findings of the legal pack, which will give you some more confidence as to exactly what you're buying. Alongside legal packs, viewing the property is absolutely essential to know what you're buying, but the key part with legal packs is that there isn't anything that you weren't aware of. If you know that there is a 1.5% fee on top of the purchase price, and you know you're liable for potential arrears, and you know what the detail of the property is, then you can account for that in your calculations when you're purchasing a property. Buying a property without reading the legal pack is buying blind, and you don't want to do that. So I hope that helps. Comment below if you've got any questions, and I'll catch you soon. If you're new to the channel, I'm a property investor and I specialise in buying property at auction. So hit the subscribe button, hit the bell icon, and you'll be notified every time I upload.